It takes a lot of courage to get clear. I hope that I remember all the stories that I want to tell you about this today. But the reason I'm talking about this is because we're in a little mini series right now in real time around pivoting. And if you go to this link right here, this is me now, slash this is me now, you're going to find a webinar that I'm inviting you to for existing coaches and facilitators that contributes a lot of really amazing processes and questions to clarify where you're at now. Raise your hand if you are in a deep internal pivot of some kind. Raise both hands if it includes your business. Okay. Now, when you are in business, when you change dramatically, so does your business. And that's just the way it goes. There's no separation. I suppose if you had a corporation and it was sort of just running tickety boo, but then if you change so dramatically, then you would probably be pivoting personally. So, whatever. Anyway, it's very likely that if you have a business and you're in a deep pivot, that there's a lot of stuff coming up. And so today I wanted to talk about the courage that it takes to get clear and the courage that it takes to begin articulating or risking articulating what's changed. I am choosing to specialize. Now, I think the only person this is shocking to is me. But in that choice, I've allowed myself the freedom to let go of, release, not choose anymore big things like certifications. Now, I've said both ways. I'm definitely not choosing it anymore, and I'm definitely choosing. I'm going to leave that open for now because I'm in the process. But that has been really essential because what started to really show up for me was this realization that, let me just say it in plain language, I wasn't happy anymore. And I was pretty upset about that as a thing that was true. I didn't really want that to be true, but it definitely was. And you could point your fingers at a lot of different things in my life over the last 3 years, for sure. You could point your fingers at relationship stuff. You could point your fingers at countries, at periods of time in history, at the whole combination, at perimenopause. You could point your fingers a lot of directions. But when it came down to it, who I am now isn't who I was. And so I had to either be willing to like drop everything and go get a job selling pizza somewhere or something, and or embrace and really look at and be brave and look at this change. At the end of the day, the things that you and I are wrestling with when it comes to big change aren't really about certifications. They're about ourselves. They're about what we want our life to be like. They're about how we've been living so far and what we'd really like to have as income, as change, as impact, as creative possibilities. So when we make it all about this other thing, it's a big disservice to ourselves. And so it takes courage to admit all that, right? It takes courage to kind of look at it. It takes courage to like show up anyway. It takes courage to put all this stuff into words because what if your words are wrong? What if you put stuff into words and they're not right? They don't match. They lead you somewhere where you didn't really want to go. Well, this is where we use our tools. We still have them. Every choice is going to create awareness. I'll tell you a funny story. So I've been giving myself the permission to choose not to recertify as an access consciousness facilitator. That's a pretty big choice for someone who's built their whole business around being an access consciousness facilitator. And last night, and I've been sitting with this choice and really choosing it for a couple weeks, maybe longer, in and out, but a couple weeks, like full on not. And last night, I don't know what we were doing. Oh, Luna was over. I don't know why that's relevant. I was sitting with this choice and all of a sudden I got this urge to like put on a call, right? Like do a clearing call because I'm doing all this work with all these people and they have all this stuff up and I'm like, I'm just going to put together a clearing call. Well, technically I still can. I'm still a facilitator till May. And if I choose to, I can be a facilitator the rest of my life. But it was this funny moment where I realized I miss facilitating. You don't get that information unless you choose to let things go. You don't get all the information, number one, unless you choose to let things go and really choose it to see what it's like, and or choose into things that you can add to your life to see what they're like. Because up until that moment, it's all a head game. And for me to even look at letting this massive thing go that has just been such a gift to my life was a huge moment of bravery. It was this thing of going, I'm going to find out and see, number one, if I am anything beyond this thing. Number two, if I let it go, if I am as happy or more happy. Find out my happiness level. If I let this go, what happens to my happiness level? I'm going to let this go to find out what that does. Does that increase the possibilities? Does that decrease the possibilities? What does it do? And I can tell you, I'm getting so much information, but I'm doing that hand in hand with also looking at what would I like to, if I were going to specialize in something, what would that be? If I were going to talk to a group of people, who would they be? If I were going to target people on Facebook advertising and YouTube advertising, who would they be? If I were going to build my whole ecosystem out to a particular group, who would they be? So I'm doing all these very, very big and different choices. And the reason I called this the courage it takes to get clear is I don't see a lot of other people doing this that I know. A lot of what I'm choosing, some of it exists out in the world, and so might be considered and discarded as not conscious. Others of it, I'm choosing just because I am and I need to see something about it. I guess the thing is, like, the choices I'm making can't be justified. They're just what I'm choosing. I'm following a sense of something that I know is going to take me somewhere that I need to get to until I go to the next place. And that's why this whole thing takes courage. Because it's not like in the middle of a pivot or the middle of the need for great change that you know what the fuck you're doing. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. That's the beauty of it all. You have your sense of things, you have joy as your guide. Like, where is it? What can I choose to have it? Can I add different things that would contribute to my level of joy? Can I include my body more? You have all your questions. You have choice. Choice is a powerful motherfucking contributor. And that's about it. So if you need to hang on to the need for validation, you probably won't ever go on this journey. If you need to hang on to people's good opinions, or at least what you think will change about people's opinions, if you choose into what it is that the direction you'd really like to explore, then you won't ever get the benefits of it. And so here's my first question for you after this blah, blah, blah. What would it take to be willing to choose beyond people's opinions of you? What would it take to be willing to choose into what you alone need to explore for the reasons you need to explore it? What would it take to never need somebody else's approval for what it is that you're choosing because you're choosing it? And what would it take to trust you in the choices you know you need to make? When it comes to being in business, we get to choose everything. That takes courage in and of itself. There is no right. That takes courage in and of itself. We're definitely going to fuck it up. That takes courage because this is all art. We're stealing like artists. We're putting stuff out like amateurs. Like, this is all takes courage. But to then be on the path and go, everything that I've been doing so far is not anything I want to do now. Takes another measure of courage. Because it's not that you know what you want to do now, it's that you have a sense of something different that you need to choose. And you need to go explore it because you do. And it's that choice is going to change what your business needs and where you need to put your energy and what muscles you need to build next. I am really building right now the muscle of specificity and articulation and targeting. Where am I leading myself? Well, hopefully I run myself into some people that want what I have to offer. If nothing else, I'm getting a lot of awareness. And I promise and know that all choice is going to create. So I have a sense of the way I want my life to be like. I'm choosing in that general direction. I'm getting better at things I know I need to get better at. These are skill building things, right? I already have all the talent. Now I'm building the skills. And I'm going to start using them in ways that I haven't used them before to reach people that I haven't reached before. We're going to see how that goes. And I'm going to keep asking the universe to what else is possible with this that I haven't considered and ask for the things that I know I need, because at the end of the day, the only person I can listen to is me. And the one that knows is me. And by God, if I don't listen to me, then I am being silly. So it takes courage to get clear. You got to be willing to know what you know, and you got to be willing to put what you know into words a lot of times. Not all the time. But when it comes to business, if you want anybody to be able to choose it, words are required. And that takes courage, because you'll likely do it wrong, and it's going to take some exploring. And you're going to use a bunch of words at first that don't match. And all of that is not only okay, but is part of the process. So, what would it take to be willing to give yourself the process? And that's what I want to start you out on. That's what I want to invite you to with crystaljoycrawford.com/thisismenow. I want to invite you into the beginnings or the middle of the process. And I would say I'm a master pivoter who has done 80% of them badly and 20% of them well. And that's all from my point of view. So I'm simply your facilitator, your guide, your lobber of ideas, your instigator of change, your catalyst to your own clarity. I don't pretend to be the expert. I just am very, very interested in seeing more of us out in the world articulated and clear. So please join me for that. And if that is not your thing right now, I would like to invite you to really look at where could you use more of your own courage today? What needs more of your attention that you haven't necessarily turned around and faced yet? What could you pivot in? Your point of view, your life, your business? What could you acknowledge is different that would, if you let it in, change everything? Share this with a friend who needs it. And would you like and comment and subscribe to the channel so other people can find it? And leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I love you. See you in the next conversation.